Salam! How's everyone doing? I hope everyone is doing well. Today I would just want to share with you two books that I think would be good for you if you want to learn more about the Prophet, peace be upon him. I limited to two books because if, for example, you are a beginner and you don't know where to start, there's so many resources out there that you can look for, but these two books have got a huge following amongst the Muslim community, so that's why I recommended these two. The first one would be this one. I'm actually just halfway through this, but because I've already read the previous book, the previous biography, which I'm going to show you later on, I think that this would be a good book as well, along with the other one. Essentially, both books tell the same story because you can't run away much from the story of the Prophet, peace be upon him, right? But it is the way that it is being written that I think would appeal to certain audiences more than the others when it comes to picking which books to read. So this one I think is really good for people who are native English speakers, because the thing about Arabic names is that they have a lot of different names. For example, the Prophet, peace be upon him, his name was Muhammad, right? But he was also given the name Abu Qasim, and Qasim is actually was his son. So they call him Abu Qasim, which means father of Qasim. This book is relatively easier to follow than the previous book, which is why I introduced it first. So in terms of the names, you won't get so confused when it comes to the names. For example, the next book that I'm going to show you is that they would throw out a name and expect you to know how that person is related to the other. This one, for example, doesn't do that. When the author introduces someone, he would mention so-and-so is the daughter or the brother-in-law or the cousin of so-and-so. So at least you have a point of reference, and at least you know how this new character is relevant to the story at hand. So this one I would definitely recommend to someone who is just starting out with Islam or just want to know more about the Prophet, peace be upon him. Plus, this biography was written by someone called Martin Lings, and he is actually an English convert. He was an English convert. He passed away in 2005. Martin Lings was actually a renowned British scholar with degrees in English and Arabic from London University and Oxford University. For those of you who know the movie and the book The Lion, the Witch and the Wardrobe, that was written by C.S. Lewis. So this author actually studied English under C.S. Lewis, and they became friends at university. It so happened that C.S. Lewis has a lot of Christian elements in his writings, and it so happened that Martin Lings gravitated more towards Islam. Like I said, this would be easier for English speakers because it was written by someone whose first language was English. At least for me personally, this one was easier for me than this one. So the next one is this book, which I think it's also very, very popular within the Islamic circle, and it's called The Sealed Nectar. I'm obsessed with this cover. This was actually originally in Arabic. It won a competition in the Biography of the Prophet, peace be upon him, and originally it was in Arabic and then they translated it to English. So that's why it is slightly more difficult for English speakers such as myself to grasp the names, and oftentimes I got pretty confused because, like I mentioned just now, they would bring in a character and they wouldn't say like how it's related to the story, how it's relevant, family relations and everything. So I got a bit lost reading this book. So I would suggest starting with this book first, and then we'll move on to this one. But at the end of the day, it's up to you which books you want to choose first. My advice is go for this one first if you're an English speaker, and then go for this one next. Or you can go the other way around. Like I started with this one first and then I went to this one because this was more readily available in the bookshops compared to this one. I just recently got this. But one thing good about both of these books is that they reference Quran verses as well as some hadith sources. So you can actually find these hadiths and refer to the Quran verses once you read these books. And as you know that certain verses were actually revealed based on the certain situations that the Prophet, peace be upon him, found himself in as answers to his predicament at the time. So both these books actually mention the conditions in which the Quranic verses revealed. They don't mention it in detail, but they do mention like the Prophet found himself in this kind of situation and God revealed this verse to him, and then it also mentions his reaction to it, and so on and so forth. So at least you can understand more about the context of the verses without looking at a book that is specifically about the conditions of revelation, which is a whole separate topic. I have a book about it which I haven't opened yet, which is like 90% of my books at this point. At least with these two books, you get to know like, okay, why certain verses were revealed and in what kind of conditions. Thank you so much for your time today, and I hope that this video has been useful for you, especially if you are looking for books that details the life of the Prophet, peace be upon him. In conclusion, these two are the books that I would definitely recommend for beginners. If you're a born Muslim and you just wanted a refresher, these are the two books that I would recommend. I believe in schools, for example, in Muslim majority countries like Malaysia, we do study about the Sirah. It is a compulsory subject in school, but when you leave school, you kind of forget all these. So these two I would highly recommend. If you're a native English speaker and you find it a bit difficult and a bit confusing to follow the Arabic names and their family relations, this is the book that I would recommend for you guys to go for first. And if you're done with that, you can go for this. But as always, it is up to your prerogative. I just hope that you find some enjoyment in this. Continue reading as much as you can, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!